Young boy from a broken home, always feel alone. I'm a gone, face stone, but he gotta stay strong, hold his own. Pops is giving me a choice, raise your voice, get your mother's love, or Pops raise his boys. This situation I face, had no control over.
Welcome back, everyone. Ron Servin checking in. We are here in the Man Cave with the Man Kave Experience as we know it and as you may know it. New listeners, old listeners, those that kind of pop in from time to time. We love the fact that you have chose to listen to our conversation. As we've always mentioned, this is just a place that we've created to share, to sometimes coach, sometimes support, sometimes encourage, all the things that go along with what we're trying to do as authentic men in the world, from two different places in our life, two different places in the world. And we're coming upon our year anniversary of actually starting the show and meeting each other in person. So I think we're definitely going to have some upcoming episodes where some excitement and kind of reflection and some things that have been kind of going on in our lives over the past year will be coming your way. But before we talk about the topic for tonight, I'd love to hear, and I always messed it up last time, so I'm going to point in several different directions to my partner, who is either over here or he's over there. So when you're watching it, I think last time I pointed away from him. So I'm going to point all different directions that Ced may show up in this broadcast and have him do a little introduction and let us know how he's doing. What's up, Ced?
What's happening, Doc? What's happening, y'all? Man, welcome. As I look at it, I'm on your left. Yeah. No, the other way. One of those, man. Right. Yeah, we're just having fun, y'all, in the old man cave. Having some lighting issues, so y'all probably can't see me that well, but we still gonna keep it going. Appreciate y'all joining us. Appreciate the space that's here. Man, it's just a beautiful feeling, man, to be here. Got my dog. We actually get, what is it, like 8 days, man? We'll be reconnecting in person again, or 9 or something like that, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So
cool.
So tonight's topic really resonates with us because when we think about the word success in our lives, it can be defined, experienced, in different ways, kind of based on what you're going through in your life. So, even this show, we don't gauge the success of the show based on how many subscribers we have. We don't base our success on anything other than us showing up as authentic men and to feel that our journeys as in this situation where we're putting ourselves out there and being vulnerable and sharing our heart, sharing our mind, sharing our just ideas on different topics. I think that for me really resonates as far as being successful in what we're doing. Sure, it's nice to have thousands of followers and all of these different ways to gauge your success from outside. But for me, when I thought about this topic and how it resonates with the show, we've been successful. I think we set out to kind of create what we started off with. And if you go back and listen to some of those early episodes, you'll definitely see some transitional points from where we were and where we are now. Knowing we're coming up on this year anniversary, definitely going to look at a whole lot of things to do the same, different, creativeness, really starting to continue in our journey. But so again, success, how does that play out in your life as far as the listener? How do you gauge success? Oftentimes, and we spoke about this last session about sports, and I've always at least kept in the back of my mind when we gauge success, just understanding like a baseball player, a good solid hitter, that hits 300, in a year, is considered successful. So 7 out of 10 times that individual is failing, yet 3 out of 10 times he's succeeding, and he's considered a success. So, I'm interested, Ced, as you kind of step into this talk, what types of things do you look at in your life, or have you experienced in others, as far as how they may experience or share what success means to them, because it obviously can mean so much to so many people. And sometimes we don't even know, or we don't really reflect upon how successful we may be and what that really means to us, or how we gauge that. So I'm interested to see kind of what that topic success means to you. Some information on how you gauge that in your own life, and then maybe just sharing about how you've experienced that with others.
Okay. Success, man, that's on the ever-going topic. Man, for me, nowadays, I would have to say I measure my success on my ability to keep chasing the goal or trying to reach the goal.
Mm-hmm.
It's not measured in did I reach it yet, which is how I used to look at it. It was, if I hadn't reached the goal yet in X amount of time or whatever the case, then I was failing. But now I don't even really look at anything as a success or a failure. It's just you're either not successful yet or still working on it. One of those type of deals.
Right.
And that's just for me. That's how I have to reframe it. Because if I start to use that word fail and let it come in conjunction with success, then I can tend to look at, benchmarks and stuff. Not saying that, I don't have goals like, okay, well, next year I plan to do this, this, this. Now, am I a failure if I don't reach those things? No. I'm just not as successful as I could have been, and I have goals and things to shoot for. That's where I'm at now. And man, it was crazy back in the day. Success was completely tied to money. It was, okay, if you lived in the hood, you really weren't successful at life. And it was an aspiration to, go and buy a house. And yeah, I'm going to feel, if I buy a $5,000 car or a $50,000 car, that, materialistic stuff judged my success. And that's how I would judge other people's success.
Yeah. And it's interesting how when we look at success, oftentimes, like you're mentioning, we look at the big prize at the end versus the little successes that come along the way. I mean, and really acknowledging and experiencing and valuing just those little steps that really we can look back on, not just to, feel this, it's kind of like watching the World Series. There's all these little successes that, the Boston experienced over the year that led up to the big prize at the end, winning the World Series. So, in our lives, it's important for you, the listener, myself, Cedric, people that are kind of struggling with how do I, at what point do I feel like I'm succeeding? At what point do I feel like I'm, turning the table and or turning the corner and making progress on my goals? And it is at times, that willingness to take that step back and to acknowledge those small little steps. And the other day I was thinking about this, and I didn't get the whole part of it, but Will Smith was mentioning like three things. And I remember two of them, and that's my old my old brain only remembered 2 out of 3, but that's still successful, right? I'm remembering 2 out of 3. He said, fail often and fail forward. And, and like you said, it's not always about, well, it is about how you define what failure is, because failure can also just be your willingness to try something and to, continue trying something, fail often, try. Be willing to fall down and get back up, fall down and get back up. Because sometimes it takes that. Sometimes we jump into something that we don't know what the results are going to be. And if we just fail once, we may give up. If we're willing to fail 10 times, maybe that 11th time is when we're successful. And we've experienced that with our coaching practice, right? I mean, how how much energy that you and I put out there in the universe with good intentions and no expectations that we've failed at. Whether it's the acknowledgement or the clients or any of those things that are as a result of our efforts. And yeah, I feel that my efforts have been successful in the way that I've learned each time I've failed, I've learned how to do something different. I've learned that, nothing changes if nothing changes. If you don't do something different the next time, then you can't expect a different result. So, what are some things that you've learned about yourself? Because I know as a father, even having a young, son, Messiah, there's things that you have, I'm assuming, have experienced that are successful or maybe took a period of time to, kind of gain that, finally, persistence, right? Try, finally success. So I'm interested just knowing that I went through that with my son, who's now 13. Now you said, kind of going through some of those challenges as a father, maybe share some successes that you've had as a father up to date.
Hell, just remembering the schedule. And we successfully made it to the point to where we're getting a little bit more sleep. But man, that's a good question though, man. Cause nothing's really hit me as like a failure or a success, because it's kind of like you're thrown in it and you can't do anything but do what you can, really.
Right.
Well,
but I guess, move into your, maybe just move into your personal life in general then. Maybe just some areas that you've had to really persevere and fail. And then opportunity came, and that extra effort that you took then led to the desired result. And whether you call that success or perseverance or, whatever that might be, is there an experience that you've had to kind of continually push, and then you start seeing the light at the end of the rainbow, or something happened as a result of your extended efforts?
Yeah. Currently, man, today will be day 65 of and for you guys listening, I accepted a 100-day Facebook Live challenge, which is, I hate those, which is odd because we're on here every week. And I'm on day 65, but I've been getting traction from it. And I had a lot of wrap-ups around it. And it's a success every day I show up. Because it's, even though it's day 65, every time it's really, really hard to push that go live button. And it feels like I just started, but I'm like, wow, I'm almost done actually. And I'm like, oh man, what am I going to do now? So that's one of them. I don't know why. And usually around this time of year, I always think about when I became a Marine, when I earned that title. Mm-hmm. Because to date, man, I got to say that was the hardest thing I ever had to do.
Right.
And looking back, it's so much that I learned from it about just perseverance and being successful, and actually earning that title, and also like just with my practice, man, not a lot's going on right now, but, I never would have thought I'd gotten this far, and joining Toastmasters and reaching out to people and showing up for the show. Like, I feel like the show is a success, even though we don't have the 10,000 followers. I didn't think, initially, you want it to, and I was like, man, I want it to be great. And who wouldn't want, that 500,000 followers or viewers? I mean, that's cool. That means people are checking you out. But it's not about that. It's successful to me, just on the fact that we're still in it. and I didn't know what it would look like. I was like, well, we can start it. You know, what if we run out of topics? Like, what the hell is it going to look like? And here we are a year later, still rocking and rolling. So,
right.
You know, just stuff like that, man. Right now is how I'm looking at it.
Right.
That's kind of what's going on.
Right. And I think you hit some key points there. I think just, you know, when we don't look at even the simple things as you mentioned the word traction, you know, to where, you know, your efforts start showing up where you're getting some, whether it's, and it could just be personal growth. It could just be, you know, acknowledgement of your efforts. So, you know, as I have watched you many times doing your live broadcast, you know, for me, what I experience when you have done those is, you know, it's about your own success. I mean, yeah, you're reaching out and sharing those things that you're encouraging others to look at, maybe reach out to you and create a conversation that might benefit them. But I also, probably even more so, love listening to just your own kind of evolution of who you are and the success that I'm seeing you go through just with your own self. And I think that's, you know, when we do things in our life, we don't sometimes think about those subtle things that are shifting as being successful. We just look at it as that's what we have to do. We've committed to this 100 days of, you know, posting on Facebook Live. And at the end of the day, you know, maybe you've got 100 people watching every day, maybe you've got 20, whatever that number is. That doesn't necessarily mean that at the end of the 100 days that you've changed from, and I know this is happening because I watched you do it, you know, change from, you know, an introvert that is maybe unwilling to share parts of you that you haven't before, to probably still an introvert, but willing to feel comfortable being yourself and without any type of worry of whatever that result may be. And I think that's successful, right? That's the success that you've experienced and I've experienced and others have seen you experience. And those things are important. Obviously, you know, there's always, like you mentioned, that idea of something that just becomes viral or something that just, you know, just shoot me to the moon and you can't believe this is happening type thing. And those things are all still possible in all these different endeavors that we're taking upon in our life. But, you know, we do need to, in my opinion, still feel equally, you know, feel a gratitude equally about just the fact that you've stuck to it, you've grown, you've committed to it, you've evolved, you've expressed yourself in a way that you probably haven't before. And that's important to keep in context with what you're doing as a man, what you're doing as a coach, what you're doing as a father, all those things that can get lost when we have just this huge vision that we're still working towards, and maybe not that reflection time to really gauge or understand or really share with ourselves and with others that journey that got us there. So I commend you for committing to that. And I would guess, and maybe you can share about that, you know, kind of what that feeling has been for you just to commit to that and to feel that growth within yourself.
Damn good. That's funny, man, because I was thinking about it earlier because I was watching somebody else, Sarah Vanderstein. She reached her 100 today. Mm-hmm. I just had this overwhelming feeling of success, you know, celebrating her. But then I was like, wow, 2 months. You know, although I'm getting traction and I haven't gotten really many clients or people reaching out to work with me from it, it's just some engagement going on. But it's a huge success to me. When I look back, the feeling, just the growth, like I said, it's still hard to push the button, but I've grown though. It's not like I'm not bashing myself, like stressing out about to have an ulcer because I got to do a live. So it's a really good feeling to see that growth, and that's a success because I'm learning from it.
Right.
And also, yeah, well, I wouldn't say also, but the stuff that I'm learning about me in general. And what I mean is like, because I look at it and I'm like, okay, well, you're dedicated to this, and it causes your mind to open up and really evaluate everything based on that one thing that's kind of going on, be it negative or positive, you know. And it's like I see areas where I'm lacking, see areas that need improvement, you know, with just speaking in general, you know, because you're in Toastmasters, and I go back and I look at the videos, and the counter would be going crazy with some of my lives, you know. It's like, man, I would be getting dinged all over the place. So just being able to witness stuff like that,
right,
is a good feeling, because if you're not learning or gaining anything from the endeavors you're taking, to me, then I would say you're just surviving and you're not living at that point.
right.
And I'm realizing more and more that I'm alive and that I'm becoming more alive from the inside out.
Right. And what I love what you're doing is, which is sometimes hard, is you know, we're planting those little seeds in our own life, and we're, you know, fostering those to grow. But the words that you're putting out there to those that have, you know, connected with you, or, you know, that have watched your videos or just know you in general, you know, those are things that are going to evolve in their life, you know, when they're ready for that. But just the sheer fact that you're willing to put those intentions out there to, you know, not just candy coat things. I mean, several of your videos have been, you know, in your face, you know, get off your ass, do something with your life. And, you know, that's, you know, if we just give the you know, the pretty things that people want to hear, yeah, that's nice. But if that's not really where the growth is, you know, those are the little things that you've been able to put out there. And whether it's tomorrow, whether it's that person sharing with somebody else, whether that's a year from now that they reflect upon, it's like, God, where did I hear that? And maybe they don't even remember that they heard it from you. Doesn't really matter, right? What matters is, you know, you
Right.
continue to serve others, your willingness to, you know, speak, you know, in terms of how people can better themselves, how they can step, you know, into their light, how they can let go of the demons that keep them from moving forward. And, you know, so I commend you. I mean, I commend you for committing to it. I know that was tough for you. Obviously, you're not there yet, and I don't think you're ready to start over at number one again. So I'm confident that you'll finish up. And then, is it really a matter of, you know, where do I go from there? Maybe that's just who you are now. Maybe it's not going on Facebook Live and posting every day a live video, but maybe it's just you showing up every day with people in general and just being that live person that maybe you've held back on before, and just, you know, feeling the success of how one commitment led to a different commitment in your life that you're now stepping into.
Yeah, which it has.
Yeah.
Some of them scary. But man, like, cause I know you not too long ago had a talk, man, and you on a roll with those. So, you know, with those in mind, I guess that's kind of like, cause that's real deal live. So how do you judge success, or how it, like, what comes up for you in that area when you think about your talks, you know, for those coaches that might be listening in?
You know, the talks that I've done have been, you know, 90 minutes. So, you know, in 90 minutes, there's a lot of information that is, you know, is put out there. So what I try to, you know, aware of and mindful of is, you know, and I mentioned this in my talk, you know, what is one or two things that I can leave you with that can give you some sort of place to start to create a new habit, or maybe think about something different. And for me, because I've had, you know, I've done, you know, my talks around mindfulness, that's newer for me. And I've, you know, got a couple more of those scheduled. I've been doing a talk on rose care, just, you know, how to properly prune and how to properly maintain rose bushes. I've been doing a talk on that for 25 years. So there's years that I had, I think, 4 or 5 people. And there's been other years where it's been standing room only, and I've had a newspaper reporter there taking photos, and I was on, the cover, or not the cover, but in the newspaper the next day. But what's interesting about that is, when you ask that question, for me today, it's like, and maybe this has evolved in my, kind of growth about, with my own inner growth, is if I can touch or not necessarily touch, but give a gift to one person, even if it's out of 4 or even if it's out of 50, that allows that person then to share their gift or tap into their own, kind of light, or to share that with somebody else. That to me has been successful. And I think that's, I think anything other than that, I think if we're looking for a bigger result, I mean, it's nice to experience that, but it's got to start with me, and it's got to start with my willingness and ability to connect with at least one other person to share that with and allow them to, kind of move forward in their life. So I guess in a roundabout way to answer your question, if I can honestly give one person in that crowd a gift that they can learn and grow from, then I feel like I've done my job. I've been successful. Can success be bigger in those situations? Sure. I mean, I could get a standing ovation. I could get, 50 coaching opportunities. I could get an invite to go do something else. Obviously that's a bigger success, but I don't think that that's necessarily, I'm happy with the one success. Not that I'm not looking for bigger successes, but if I can get that out of that situation, that makes me feel good. Like I said, just, I guess to even go back further, even if I had nobody in the crowd, I'm still feeling successful that I actually took a step forward and created an opportunity for those to come and learn something that I'm able to share with them. And maybe that's just the optimistic side of myself and trying to be mindful that success is not guaranteed. Man, I'm saying a lot of ums too. Now that you said the Toastmaster, because we do the little piggy bank. So I think we pay like a quarter an or it's so that kind of goes towards treats and stuff. So. So I think that's for me. I think that's allowed me to really, have a lot of gratitude towards the little successes in my life. Because I think if I didn't do that, then I would probably be frustrated. I wouldn't feel successful. I wouldn't feel like I'm doing my part, because success sometimes can be very fleeting. Sometimes success takes a long time. Sometimes success can be very frustrating because, the desired result doesn't come as quickly, or, doesn't come as quickly as you'd like it, as well as, your efforts seem to be going, by the wayside. You don't see the results. Success.
Yeah.
It's a very, very interesting topic, because I think, in this, seems like in society, we place a lot of emphasis on being successful, and there's so many different ways that success can be displayed. And you mentioned about just the material things, how, especially as men, I mean, we want to show you what kind of car we drive, what kind of house we live in, all these things that
hot wife.
That's like that. I'm successful because of this. Can you see it? Isn't this pretty? I mean, isn't it pretty? That's why I'm successful. This shows that I'm successful. Versus, am I willing just to sit here, look in the camera, look at you, the person that's listening to this video, and say, I'm a successful person because I'm sitting here expressing who I am and my willingness to be the most authentic man I can be. I mean, you, the listener, or, are you able to do that in your life to where, the simple, small successes can be expressed in a way where you feel that gratitude towards what you're doing in your life? Yeah,
man, I was, cause when I was thinking about, my lives and how, the success of that, I always, well, what popped up in mind was, basketball, LeBron James and Michael Jordan and all these guys. And I don't know if you guys are like this or not, but I know I used to be, and still get caught up sometimes where, because you talked about the desired result, and that kind of made that pop up for me. We have this desired result, and we want to, who doesn't want to be great at what they're doing, be it a speaker, coach, teacher, whatever the case may be, right? But I feel like a lot of times what we end up doing is staying so focused on that desired outcome to where it beats us up. Mm-hmm. And we put a skewed definition on failure and success. But what I think we don't look at, or what we tend to forget, is greatness it doesn't come overnight. There's very, very, very few people that, become a success overnight. Some people might post a video and become a YouTube, or what they call it, the viral. He might go viral, but when you look at LeBron, he was good in high school, middle school, yeah. Jordan lost his high school. One, he didn't even make the team the first time he tried out. They said, come back next year. We'll think about it. And he didn't get a ring in college until like his last year or something like that. He wasn't great overnight. And I think that's where a lot of disconnect comes, especially nowadays, and that's how it happens. I know it happened to me, because you're going and, like with my videos, I want to get people to reach out and coach and have me coach them. Yes. But there are some people that will look at that and say, well, man, I've been doing this 65 days. Nobody's reached out. Man, it's not going great. Or like for our show, and I'll be honest, guys, I don't even know how many viewers or followers we have, because it doesn't even matter to me. I know we're not at 1 million. That much I do know.
Just short of that.
Right. A lot of people could be like, man, you know what? I'm not going to, tell their partner like, hey, I'm done. We're not doing anything. It's a waste of time. And I'll be honest, sometimes it does come up. It's like, man, what are we doing with this? Like, I know we've created the space and all of this, but then when I show up, it's like, here's what it's about. Saying, hey, we're going to do this. I may not be successful, or we, as far in terms of numbers, but I feel like I'm successful because a year ago I made a commitment to a person. Like, hey, we're going to do this, and this is what we're trying to do. And so we still doing it. So hell yeah. But when I start focusing on the end goal, like, man, why don't we have the X, Y, and Z? Why don't we have this number of people? Then that's when the negative BS starts to creep in, like, right. But, I would invite everybody, it's good to have that end goal, no doubt, but don't focus on it. Be like Ron, I know you do a lot of work with being present. Like, just be present. Look at the now. Right. What are you doing now to reach that goal? And I guess that's how I would kind of define success or failure. If you stop working towards that goal, then it's a fail. Mm-hmm. Because nothing's ever going to happen. You're done, because you're not doing anything. But as long as you're working to reach that goal, that's a success. Right. Yeah. Edison didn't, I think it was like 900 sometimes. He failed, and you might want to argue semantics with him and Tesla or whatever the case. But if we just take the basics of it, any scientist or anything, you mess up, you figure something out, you recalibrate, mess up, recalibrate. It's not a failure. It was just not so good success.
Well, man, I'm going through that right now because my Dodgers lost, and it's been 31 years since they've won a world championship. And me being an older gentleman, I can remember. Actually, I went to that series. Actually, I didn't go to that series, but I was, a very long-term, all my life Dodger fan. So if somebody asks the question, are the Dodgers successful? If you gauge it upon world championships, over the years, yes. But yet it's 31 years where they haven't won a world championship, yet they're considered one of the top successful organizations, in sports or in baseball. So, I mean, there's different ways. So will you, the listener, or, people in general, need to probably ask that question of themselves, in different scenarios in their life. What does success mean as a father? What does success mean to me as a coach? What does success mean to me as a employee of this company? Because it's going to have different meanings, because, how successful you are can be gauged in a lot of different ways based on what subject you're looking at. So, spend time in your awareness to ask that question. And maybe it's not about answering the question right away, but maybe it's just allowing that to kind of be more present in your life. What is success? How do I define success? How do I know when I'm successful? What does it look like? What does my life look like? What am I feeling? What am I expressing? Really, I mean, there's opportunities in every scenario in our life to really ask that, to know and to be able to understand and value not just the success, but just how those, I guess we still call them failures or opportunities for improvement. Where do those lie in my life? Am I learning as I go and I'm creating new opportunities, or am I continually making the same mistake and expecting success, but yet I'm not changing anything? And I think that's unfortunately, I'd say for most of us, there's some habit that we've had in our life where it just seems to be that reoccurring situation. And if we really look and we're honest with ourselves, our inability to be successful is probably really connected to our unwillingness to do something different. So I think that's the challenge. I think each one of you, the listeners, should really at least contemplate. And again, a lot of these questions or topics that we put out there on this channel, I would encourage you more to just contemplate, kind of be curious, to not necessarily develop an opinion, but just to know that there's different ways that you can look at things. And that's really been our kind of what the focal point has been for this channel and this, the episodes we put out there, is not to tell you, the listener, that this is what you need to do, because what we do may not work for you, but at least it gives you, the ability to kind of look at your life, look at other people in your life, and better understand that it's not just your way or the highway. It's your willingness to adapt. It's your willingness to accept. It's your willingness to, again, be curious, and your willingness to not judge based on your own situation, but to really, respect, honor, maybe have a difference of opinion, but still respect that other person's point of view, and come from a place where there's not that need to, say, well, you're this and I'm that. It's more about, wow, that's an interesting way to think about it. And that's kind of why that is why we've done this, created this channel. That's where we're going to continue to focus as far as the core beliefs that we put out there, the core reason why we're doing what we're doing. So although we're going to be doing things somewhat different in the future, some of our episodes, whether they're live or, kind of those types of things, it's always going to come from a place of, this is just us sharing us. And however that resonates with you is how it resonates with you. Our goal has never been to tell you, the listener, this is how you need to change your life. It's just different perspective, different ideas, creating space in your life, that you can maybe share that with others and create additional space in their lives. So love this, man. So Ced, I'm going to say my goodbyes because I know we're getting short of time here. Again, kudos to us for our success up to date. There are times where we kind of pound our chest and say what a great job we're doing. I think this is one of those times where I feel it's necessary because, you know, we have committed to this, you know, this place that we've created. We're probably approaching a total of, you know, 45 or so episodes that we put out there. Again, if you want to kind of have a little laugh and see kind of where we started, go back to the very beginning and listen to some of those. Very, very robotic in nature. I am Ron Servant.
Ron Servant.
That's kind of
Man,
cool stuff.
dude, man. Oh, man.
So I'm going to say my goodbyes to you, the audience, Cedric. So look forward to seeing you in a week, and excited just to look at year 2 and just the opportunities that are ahead of us.
Yeah. This is going to be real exciting. I almost went robotic there, just kind of thinking. You got to go back and watch the earlier ones for it to be as funny. But yeah, we've been a success, man. We've grown. So, hey guys, listening in, we appreciate the time and you know, not to beat a dead, how it go? Beat a horse over the head or something like that.
Don't beat a dead horse.
Yeah.
That too.
But you know, it's never about this is what you need to do or should do, or no, it's just, hey, here's a different thought to when you may be stuck, or you might not even be stuck, but just, you know, in your experience of life, just a different thing to grab off the tool belt and see if it works, or see if that tool fits to what's going on in your world at that point. So yeah, man. Hey, till next week, man. I have nothing more. Love you guys. I love you, Ron. Appreciate, man. Love Anthony. Like, had a 13-year-old kid wouldn't have stepped up to the plate, none of this would have never even freaking happened. That's cool as hell to me.
Yeah,
that's cool. So yeah, I love y'all, and that's it for me. Namaste.
Namaste.
On me heavy, felt like a big boulder. Now that I've grown older, I see it more clearer. A mother's touch is important, I needed a nearer. Aye, but we grew apart and life happened so fast. But she's still in my heart. I said communication's lacking. I look happy, but I'm acting. I just want my mama close and the devil stay attacking me. Rock-a-bye,